Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I just wanted to talk about a couple movies that I watched last night. I guess that depends on when you watch this video and when I put this video up, but I watched last night and was sort of pleasantly surprised. So my mom has a coworker that I've known since I was, I don't know, 13 or 14, and you know, friend of the family. Her husband is a big movie buff. I'm a big movie buff. So we tend to exchange movies. You know, if I have a bunch of movies that I'm like kind of done with, I know I'm not going to rewatch or I didn't love, but I think he might like, instead of giving them to the thrift store or selling them, I'll throw them to him. Well, he's been doing that a lot lately with me, and he's been giving me way more than I've given him. Stacks and stacks of films. Sometimes I'll kind of shuffle through them and go, this doesn't look like my type of movie. Most of the time I've seen some of them and I don't love them. Sometimes they'll give me something I've never heard of, and that's when I go, this looks interesting, and I'll throw it on and give it a chance. If I hate it, thrift store it goes. If I like it, I keep it. So these two were sort of in that pile, you know, of like, I've never heard of these, what the hell are they about? Excuse me, read the back of them, wanted to check them out. So first off is Miracle Mile. This is with Anthony Edwards, who's in Revenge of the Nerds. That's how you would probably recognize him. Also with, I guess it's Mare Winningham, I think that's her name. She's an actress from the 80s you'd recognize. She's got short hair. Sort of unflattering look for her in this film. But anyhow, this one was weird because I read the back of it and I didn't know which direction they were going in. It's about, he gets a phone call late at night, like 2 in the morning, or 4 in the morning, something like that. Gets a phone call on a payphone. Someone calls the payphone by mistake. It's someone from a missile silo who is in the government who's saying that the nuclear war is about to happen in 70 minutes. I believe it's 70 minutes. And they have to get out of there and this and that. He thinks he's calling his father and he's calling him to say goodbye and apologizing for what he's done over the years. But he dials the wrong area code. So instead of getting his dad, he gets this payphone like the middle of nowhere. Because it's in California. Because they mention the La Brea tar pits a lot in the film. So Anthony Edwards is in love with this girl, Mare Winningham. Okay, I hope I'm saying her name right. And he wants to find her before the end of the world. He's telling everyone at the diner that he's at, you know, we're all gonna die, it's the end of the world, and he's trying to like warn everyone. And around him, people start getting the message, so people start flipping out. People are killing people. I missed one scene, but people were having sex in the background while they were driving by. Everyone's kind of not sure what to do and just saying, okay, this is it. You don't really know whether or not this is true. Is this just some kind of nutcase who's calling people and making up crazy stories? Is this true and that the end of the world is going to happen? The movie sort of reminds me of, people compare it to Cherry 2000, which I could see. I saw that once, so I don't remember it very well. It reminds me sort of of a boy and his dog. So it's sort of got this, well, that was way more post-apocalyptic, but this cheesy element to it, but also like a serious tone in terms of this can happen. Almost like those things they'd show in, what was it, like the 60s and 70s about like what happens if a nuclear war breaks out. So you don't know when he's running away and doing all this crazy shit and meeting people and people are helping him and people are turning on him and whatever else. Is this really going to go down? At the end of the movie, is the nuclear apocalypse going to happen? Is he going to find his girlfriend? Are they going to get away? You know, you don't know. So the ending kind of surprised me. The movie itself is sort of like a big chase sequence, so to speak. He's, you know, looking for his girlfriend. Some people are like, you know, we want to just spend time together. We're going to leave and just die together in this place, or whatever. So everyone kind of goes on their own path. It's got that quirky, cheesy 80s feel to it. I think it came out in, was it 84? 89? It says 89. It caught me off guard. It was cool. Definitely gave me something to think about. And people on IMDb seem to say that when they saw it as kids or young adults, it creeped them out. It didn't creep me out because I found a layer of cheese on top of this movie. However, it's definitely something to think about. It was cool. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say go out and buy it, but I would say, like, if you find it on Amazon Prime or Netflix or something, maybe give it a watch if you appreciate some of those older sort of apocalyptic type of films. Yeah, it definitely caught me off guard. I'm sure some people have heard of Miracle Mile and probably enjoy it. I hadn't, so I just wanted to talk about it for a moment. The second film I wanted to talk about was Night at the Golden Eagle. And this movie, again, I hadn't heard of. It sort of reminds me a little bit of Inland Empire by David Lynch, which wasn't one of my favorite David Lynch films because of its lack of coherency. I felt like there were so many dream sequences and weird shit going on. You don't know where, sort of like most of his movies, but some of his movies I really enjoy, like Lost Highway and Blue Velvet and all that other stuff he's done, you know, Twin Peaks, of course. So it sort of reminds me of that a little bit. It's about this Italian, like, ex-mobster who gets out of prison after like 7 or 8 years. I think it's 7 years. Meets up with his, like, buddy. The buddy takes him to this, like, seedy motel or hotel that he lives in. There's hookers outside. There's, like, people sitting in the lobby watching television all night. Like, you can tell it's very run down. Nobody really gives a shit. Everyone's really nasty to each other. And Vinnie Jones is in it, which I thought was a little bit of a weird casting choice for this. I like Vinnie Jones a lot from Snatch and from, what's that Japanese movie he was in? I can't think of the name. Something with a number. Super 88, Super 66. It's some kind of crazy off-the-wall Japanese movie with this game show and this magician. Anyway, I like Vinnie Jones. I think he's a very fun character. He's interesting. In this movie, he plays like a scumbag pimp. It suited him, but I don't know. Something about it. He wasn't my first choice for that role. Anyway, it sort of shows you little bits and pieces of everyone's life. So sort of like Snatch, but not really. I can't think of what else I would compare it to. But it shows you these two ex-mobsters. It shows you the hookers outside. It shows you Vinnie Jones trying to get this like young, like 15-year-old girl to be a hooker. It shows you this dude sitting in the lobby a little bit. It's seedy though. It feels very seedy. Like it sort of has a sense of humor to it on occasion, but for the most part, both of these films have this underlying feeling of, you know. This one especially, Night at the Golden Eagle. I always liked Natasha Lyonne. I thought she was sort of attractive in like a pretty way, but she sort of looks trashy in a sense. So this role really plays well up to that because she's a hooker, with like a loudmouth, nasty hooker. There's this one scene that sticks out to me that, like, even at the beginning when they're showing the intro, they're showing all these people on the street like interacting, and you could tell some of these people aren't actors. This is them. There's this one woman, this black lady, short shaved hair, missing teeth, you know, half naked, like flashing her ass at the beginning of the movie. I think it's the same woman. Later on in the movie, she goes up to like the hotel clerk and she's yelling at him and she's trying to buy cigarettes off of him. He gives her the cigarettes and she grabs the money back and starts like yelling at him like, "Fuck you, how does it feel? Now you don't get no money and no cigarettes, bitch." And she's like screaming at him, and she kind of like goes, "How do you feel, asshole?" And she like walks away with both of them, the money and the cigarettes, and like rips them off. And I've seen people like this. Luckily, my interaction with them has been sort of limited, but you see them a lot in New York City, Manhattan. You see them on the subway, so, you know, trying to get money off of people, or on the train itself, on the railroad, whatever. So this seemed way too true to life in terms of some of these characters, besides the main actors and actresses, that these people had to just be people they pulled off the street. Definitely. So it had this underlying feeling of realistic seediness to it while the story was going on. No one gets out of this film, and I read this in the comments section on IMDb, and I would agree with it, no one gets out of this film well or good in any shape. Bad things happen to everyone. No one seems to have a leg up on life or good things happening. At one point there's a woman who's like homeless sitting down like in the dirt with like she's all dirty and she's sitting down and she's like hallucinating, and they briefly show you her hallucination. She's like dancing in the street. There's even the two main characters, the two guys, the one guy gets out of prison and his buddy, they don't get out unscathed. The hookers are all in trouble. By the end of the film, something bad happens to each of them, sort of. So it's sort of depressing. Like, everyone's first initial response is how depressing, and it is, but each of the characters was interesting, and their interactions with each other was so fucked up, and their personas and their who they are as people was such degenerates, you know, that it was interesting. And you don't leave the movie with like really a good feeling. I wouldn't say it's as bad as like Requiem for a Dream, or, you know, a movie that ends and you feel kind of fucked up after you watch it. But it's definitely in that vein. It's a little lighter than that, but, you know, all bad things just start happening to all these characters. Some by their own volition, sometimes they're sort of dragged into it. Some of the characters, there is some humor to it. Like I said, there's this black guy who's sitting in a lobby with a suit on, and he's telling all these tall tales about how he knows Bela Lugosi, and he slept with this actress and that actress, and, you know, he's watching this black and white television, and like it's kind of all he has. This shitty black and white TV in the seedy motel in the middle of like Hollywood, or wherever the hell they are. So, for some reason, this is a movie that I feel like my buddy Dean would like, from Escape to Gaming, Vinny Corleone 62. So Dean, if you watch this, maybe stream this first, but you might like this sort of. I don't know why. That's the vibe I got. Sort of like an Inland Empire-ish. So, those are the two movies I just wanted to talk about that caught me off guard, I'm going to keep, that my friend did give me. And let me know if you've seen them, what you think about them. Am I completely off base and you've seen them and you got something different from them? Thanks guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.